views expressed in the following show are of the host, the guest, and the callers. The content of the following show, its accuracy, authenticity, and the ramifications of the use or application of said content is the responsibility of those speaking and listening, not the broadcast medium.
All right, we are back, but unfortunately, we are not live. This is Feet to the Fire, radio and video. I'm your host, James Arthur Yanchik, or Jancic, if you'd like to use the American way. That's what I was raised. The Black Knight of talk radio. That's my little nickname. It goes back to the beginning of doing these broadcasts on the web and on satellite. Well, I'm recording this. I'm doing this live and I'm recording it, but it's not going out. The internet is screwed up here. It was fine all day until near showtime. And I did all kinds of reboots, restarts, whatevers, and here we are. So those who have tried to tune in live, I apologize, but there's nothing I can do about it. But I will go ahead and do the broadcast, and that way we could do the show. I have Les Visible queued up to do a commentary. We'll tap that on in the end. I have several things that I have queued up to talk about, news items, commentary, so we'll get into that. Kind of thrown me off the out of base here. But once again, I want to remind you on the web pages, the original Feet to Fire web page, which can be accessed either by going to the current web page, feettothefireradio.com, and clicking on the little menu button along the middle, like the middle line, I guess, that tells you to go. There we go. Original website. And then on there we have radio shows that go back to 2003, probably sometime in February. We lost the first, 6 or so. And then there's a couple that got lost along the way, but the rest of them are all there. You can check out all the various stuff that I looked into, Aliens, Planet X, alternate realities, all that kind of fun stuff. Artbellion. Instead of Orwellian, it's Artbellion stuff. So that's there. Remind you that it's there. It'll be there forever. Some of the stuff on the side have been disabled because we don't do it, but the items are there. The current website, feettothefireradio.com, will have these items. Listen live. That should be working. Let me see. It might be listening. No, even the audio is screwing up. It's just one of those days, so sorry about that. But we'll be recording this and I'll release it. But normally you can listen live and watch live on YouTube by pressing those buttons. But alas and alack, that is not going to happen today. So let me get into some of the news that I found pretty amazing. I want to probably play. Probably she won't mind. I was going to put together a video of all the prominent either Democratic leaders or the various intelligence group leaders all saying that there's no evidence, because they all say that. Big hoopla, and yet they all say there's no evidence when you ask them point blank. But Liz Wheeler has done that. Let me turn this off here. Let me find that. I have it on Facebook. Well, I have it on Facebook. That's right. I can probably just scroll down. People saying, "Yeah, I get to finally listen live," and then there isn't anything. Well, actually, before I start that, let me go to this picture. Webpage, and there's the Facebook. There's a picture of myself with Charlie the Wonder Dog. I bought some kind of a backpack. It's really a front pack, and you put the dog in, and we went out for a ride today. He's never been on a motorcycle all these years. He's 13 years old. And we went out for a ride, and at first he was a little concerned, but then he kind of got into it. And when we got home, he was fine, but kind of stayed away from me for a little bit, afraid maybe I was going to pick him up and take him again. We'll see how he does it. I have another backpack for the new dog, little Jack Russell. I mean, little Jack Russell. We'll see how that goes, too. So there's a picture of Charlie the Wonder Dog. I think we'll put this on the cover for this show. But let me go down to Liz Wheeler. I really don't like using this because it takes so much time. Come on, Liz, where are you? I'm going to skip. Liz. There she is. So, she put together a little piece. I think it's only a couple minutes long, so I'll play it, and it goes through what I was going to do. So, let's say that she did me a favor. Let me see if I can... I wonder if I can get up to the main YouTube here. Here we go.
Welcome back. One final point before we go tonight. Where is the evidence? The Russia-Trump collusion allegations, the accusations of obstruction of justice, the cover-up, the crime, the reason for impeachment. Democrats, please show me the evidence. Oh, wait just a moment. You can't. Watch.
Do you have evidence that there was, in fact, collusion between Trump associates and Russia during the campaign?
Not at this time.
Well, she's a top Democrat. Senator Feinstein hasn't seen anything. So where's the evidence?
What's your view on any proof? Have you seen anything that suggests any collusion between the Russians and the Trump campaign?
Well, there's an awful lot of smoke there, let's put it that way. People that might have said they were involved, to what extent they were involved, to what extent the president might have known about these people or whatever. There's nothing there from that standpoint that we have seen directly linking our president to any of that.
Well, that seemed painful for Senator Manchin to admit, didn't it? He hasn't seen anything. So where's the evidence?
We did not include any evidence in our report, and I say our, that's NSA, FBI, and CIA with my office, the Director of National Intelligence, that had anything that had any reflection of collusion between members of the Trump campaign and the Russians. There was no evidence of that included in our report.
I understand that, but does it exist?
Not to my knowledge.
Now, surely if anybody would know about collusion, it would be the Director of National Intelligence. Nope, James Clapper didn't see anything. So where's the evidence?
I don't know whether or not such collusion, that's your term, such collusion existed. I don't know.
The former head of the CIA, the agency that collects the evidence, hasn't seen any evidence. So Democrats tweaked their narrative. There's only so many times you can bang your head into the wall before you change your tune. We can't find evidence, liberals yelled, because President Trump obstructed justice. Or did he? Watch.
The work of the men and women of the FBI continues despite any changes in circumstance, any decisions. So there has been no effort to impede our investigation to date. Quite simply put, sir, you cannot stop the men and women of the FBI from doing the right thing, protecting the American people, and upholding the Constitution.
Acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe was second in command at the FBI. I think he would have known if the president was impeding the investigation. So where's the evidence of obstruction?
With respect to a number of the allegations that have been made recently, that the president or his aides may have sought to enlist the help of members of the IC or Director Comey himself to drop the Flynn investigation. Have any members of the IC shared with you their concerns that the president was attempting to enlist the help of people within the intelligence community to drop the Flynn investigation?
No, sir.
No evidence of collusion, no evidence of obstruction of justice, Unless some Democrats want to accuse Feinstein, Manchin, Clapper, Brennan, and McCabe of lying, committing perjury? Yeah, I thought not. So the narrative morphs again. No collusion, no obstruction. But the Russians, liberals say, they're the reason Trump was elected. Watch.
Do you have any evidence that Russia cyber actors changed vote tallies in the state of Michigan?
No, I do not, but I would highlight we're a foreign intelligence organization, not a domestic intelligence organization. So it would be fair to say we are probably not the best organization to provide a more complete answer.
How about the state of Pennsylvania?
No, sir.
The state of Wisconsin?
No, sir.
State of Florida?
No, sir.
The state of North Carolina?
No, sir.
The state of Ohio?
No, sir.
So you have no intelligence that suggests or evidence that suggests any votes were changed?
I have nothing generated by the National Security Agency, sir.
Director Comey, do you have any evidence at the FBI that any votes were changed in the states that I mentioned to Admiral Rogers?
No.
55% of Democrats now believe Russia tampered with the vote tallies in the 2016 election to get Trump elected. I wonder why Democrats believe that. Because that's the next evolution in the narrative coming from the Democratic politicians. Couldn't prove Trump colluded with Russia. Couldn't prove Trump associates colluded with Russia. Couldn't prove Trump obstructed justice or impeded the investigation. Couldn't prove a cover-up of a crime that never happened. The next evolution in this ever-changing, never-factual narrative is the only reason Trump was elected was Putin's finger in our ballot box. What a bunch of nonsense. In the meantime, the real smoking gun story that liberals and the mainstream media are ignoring wholesale is the fact that Russia meddled in our elections, and we're not even trying to learn how they did that, what they did, or how to prevent it from happening again. Great job, Democrats. Putin won, liberals 0. And that's my final point.
Now, you see, I would take issue with Liz that they didn't interfere in the election, no more than any other the United States would interfere in others, or they would interfere. I mean, they can't interfere. You can't change the votes. They're done locally. They're sent up the ladder. The only thing that they could have done was to hack this information to, just telling the people in the chat room, the stream's messed up. So then they could have hacked that information from the DNC and spread it out, which would have been doing us a favor. And then it brings in to this whole Seth Rich thing, which is coming out now, which is very wild because and I'm going to scroll up to some of these stories. Kim.com has now gotten involved, saying that he will come and give testimony. He knows and has evidence that Seth Rich was a hacker named Panda, or at least an online presence named Panda, who had these items. So I'm telling you, this One American News Network, this was Liz Wheeler was on. They got a whole thing. I'm not going to play because it's a long thing. They have several parts going into the Seth Rich, coming up with all the anomalies, all the stuff that's happening, and they have it all there listed on there. So you can go to my Facebook page. I'll post all these links as I usually do at the end of the show. So then we have Team Obama tried to hack the election. New York Post. There's an article there. I'll put all these up there. And going back down here, Declassified Memo shows FBI illegally shared spy data on Americans with private parties. Now, that came out from this Circa. It also, and I don't know if I shared it on here. I know I did it on my Twitter account, that Senator Rand Paul alluded to this coming out. On the Alex Jones show, they mentioned, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, that Tuesday they will be at Liberty. They and their White House correspondent, Jerome Corsi, will be able to go into detail about this and several other things. It is alluded to be the big boom to go in and talk about all the spying and leaking that's been going on inside the White House. So we'll have to wait and see what happens next week, if it's a big boom or it's a big bust, because one of the things I would imagine the deep state would be doing is trying to trip up the alternative talk shows to get them into hot water, excuse me, that they could get caught with false fake news. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So this is very important stuff. We'll wait and see. I mean, I feel like we're on the edge of some really good or bad, something happening, because they're really pushing hard on this. Seth Rich to stop talking about it. And now we have this evidence coming out of hacking the election. I mean, literally, where they actually looked at people and what they were doing. So new news, a 10-hour-old story there. So that is, that's really, 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 really huge. Also, I have links to showing the way that Snopes alters their information once apparently they get told what their payers, the people who pay them, to do. You have the White House, 30,000 criminal aliens apprehended in 100 days. That's fantastic. And it could be even more if they would stop hassling him. But, of course, the goal here is to hassle Trump to make him unable to do what he's supposed to do and eventually digging and find something. Now, think about this. You have a billionaire who's been around for a long time, and they want to find something on him to hack him. They had the little P-tape that came out, which didn't work. You had these people who were swearing that they had all kind of misconduct. He had some kind of misconduct. One by one, they were proven wrong, and they went away. You had all this stuff. You had these attempts, and now they're doing this Russian narrative where they just saw there's no proof, and there's leaks coming out of the White House, which is illegal, on trying to trip him up and say, that he's talking in familiar terms with these leaders, which is what they do, according to the Australian president. That's what they do when they talk. They talk informally, which makes sense. Of course, they don't know that they're being listened to. You have the England, Prime Minister of England, upset, Theresa May, that this stuff is being leaked. Well, another story that came out, which I had on Twitter, I believe. I don't know if I was able to get it over to here. That they have found various spies, and Trump just got back, so we'll see the news, is going to fire him and turn him over for appropriate legal action. So it sounds like they're putting their foot down. My guess is that Trump figured he could try to work with people. He's a businessman. He can work with somebody. He'd rather work with somebody than do a hostile deal. And so he tried to work with him, and he got stabbed. And hopefully he's woke up on there. I'm not happy with him about the stuff going on with Syria, and he's getting a little lippy on Russia. So I just hope that, there's something going on here that he knows. But stay tuned. This next week could be a bombshell. Hopefully not in the sense of a real bombshell, because of something has to distract from this, because it looks huge to be seen, from the declassified memo showing the spy data to the stuff that's coming out from Corsi. It looks pretty huge. Now, a couple other things. Here is a correction posted in Huffington Post. They had a whole article about how the First Amendment doesn't cover hate speech, which is, of course, wrong. And I actually, a couple weeks ago or months ago, I did a story on that showing it from the Supreme Court rulings. They put up a correction, and you get this little paragraph at the end of the story. An earlier version of the story indicated the First Amendment never protects hate speech. It does. Well, of course it does. See, the problem with hate speech is that you're supposed to be able to talk about whatever you want. If you want to come up with a very prejudiced, negative, whatever you want to call it, it's your right to talk about that. We don't have to listen. And we could turn off the channel, or we could walk away. But it's your right to talk about it. because when you start to talk about what is acceptable speech, you've lost. So when someone stands there and talks about promoting free speech and they're called a Nazi and hit, as we saw on YouTube, various YouTubes, that's, of course, ridiculous. And this stuff needs to be addressed legally. And I think it's starting to. There was a professor who was identified by great work on internet guys who were finding various pictures of people, comparing them with the pictures that were taken at the event, and they managed to find and line up one of the guys with a big bike lock was hitting people, and he's arrested. And good. I hope they continue to do this, and it would turn around this lawlessness that's going on. It's ridiculous. We could be able to talk. You could talk about whatever you would like. See, Facebook and all these things, they're not really, it's not like a public sidewalk. On the other hand, they've come to be somewhat monolithic. So if you're on Twitter, yeah, there's some other Twitter, Instagram, and there's others, but Twitter is the main one. Twitter won't let you say certain things, or Facebook. Yeah, they don't have to do that because they are a private entity, but they can be called a utility, and they can be called some type of monolithic deal where they have to act like they're the public sidewalk because of the lack of I see they're all checking in the chat room for later. I'm going to be stopping and doing this. Sorry about that. So this is important. We got people calling now. That's not going to be good. I'm going to have to deal with this. I can't stop the recording. Oh, no, it's not for me. Good. It's for... She thinks it's probably for me, so she's not going to answer it. That's good. Well, I'm just going to go on with the phone ringing in the background because it's going to ring again. So that is important to deal with. The free speech thing is very, very important because this is what we talk about. Look what's going on with Hannity. They're shutting him down, trying to, probably will succeed from the commercial standpoint, which is absolutely wrong and unethical because they don't want to hear about the Seth Rich stuff. Why would you want to hear about the Seth Rich stuff? Not only because it takes away from the Russian narrative, which has no basis, but it might be that he was executed by some order. His execution was ordered by the DNC, so that's what they're trying to avoid. That's probably closer to the truth than the Russian thing. Well, actually, anything is closer to the truth than the Russian thing. So I'm trying to look back from last. We had a bunch of stuff happen since last week. So I'm trying to find. Here's an interesting picture. Of course, they could say it's a photo op, I guess, but to show how ridiculous the mainstream is. Of course, it's like that for paparazzi, and so the mainstream media now has become paparazzi in their reporting. There's a picture of Trump, President Trump, and his wife holding hands in the Sistine Chapel. Boy, I'd love to see the Sistine Chapel. That's fantastic. Michelangelo painted all that stuff. That's amazing. There, you can't see in this particular rendition of they're holding hands. I mean, what a ridiculous thing that this type of thing becomes a story on here. Now, I mentioned Lionel Nation. You look him up on YouTube. I'll put these links there. And he did an interview with Charles Ortel. Now, this is actually 2 interviews. I put the first one first, and then the second one is linked to it. They go through Charles Ortel goes through painstaking detail on the Clinton crime deals that they've done. It's absolutely it's breathtaking on the detail and so forth and so on. So we have a list of the tabloids of the fake news that they've run. These are all talking about fake news. Here's a list of all the fake news that's been running up to date. renaming Black History Month, erasing the Russian sanction, easing the Russian sanction, POTUS threatened to invade Mexico, the big travel ban lie, the White House Twitter mistake, the Reuters account host, I mean, et cetera, et cetera. That's one good thing about the internet is that that between that and YouTube and stuff that does get through Facebook. Speaking of Seth Rich, you probably should have a whole Seth Rich section here on this. Maybe I'll do that on my site and put all the Seth Rich evidence, because you have Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is seen in video basically bullying, if not threatening, the police chief because he has evidence, IT evidence, that she wants to get back, that personal, that's owned personally, personal property. Gosh. And they're trying to get him back. And she said you could see that. What is so exciting on there? What's so amazing about that? So there's a lot of things that I'm looking at these. This is a really big one, though, this declassified stuff. So we'll see if that's a hoax or not. I also saw a video. I'll put that in there as well. That link's in there. I saw a video with Anonymous, which, Anonymous is a double-edged sword. Because they're anonymous, you'd have no idea. I'm sure there's plenty of CAA people in Anonymous, but they put together a pretty nice narrative. Now, I say it's a nice narrative. I didn't say it was factual narrative, but it flows and fits. So that's why I call it a nice narrative, and it plugs all these pieces of information together, giving the timelines and what happened. And the piece I heard in there that was new to me, and I'll put these links. The Russians, according to this narrative by Anonymous, got a hold of the United States in, I'm thinking it was July or June, July I think it was, and let them know the intel they've intercepted about an upcoming assassination within the Democratic Party, if I'm remembering this right. And they turned around and booted out the Russians. You recall the facts that we see on this side is the Russians were asked to leave. Now, if that's whether they were asked for that reason, I don't know. This is what Anonymous is asserting. And that information was probably pointing to Seth Rich, which they turned, that actually turned on him, and then Seth Rich was ended up being killed. You saw the letters with Podesta prior to his death saying we should make a example of him, regardless if he was guilty or not, whoever the individual was. Very interesting the way they tied it all together, and why the Russian problem is that you have to burn the. And the reason why it had some resonance is you have to burn the Russian intel and say the Russians messed up the elections. You stop Trump from being friends with the Russians, who have some of the goods on you, and could really stop ISIS, which is really a tool of the global governance. And so they have to stop Russia for many reasons. This is why the narrative is so important. It's not just getting Trump, it's burning Russia. As far as when they open their mouth, you go, oh, yeah, you're just the Russians trying to hack the election. And of course, the people are so ignorant as to that how a Russian election could get hacked. And one of the funny parts is Obama was laughing at Trump, who insinuated that they would hack the Russian election. And he's like, well, how are you going to hack? How is it possible to hack it? They're all laughing, yucking it up. Meanwhile, you have now this new evidence coming out that they were actually involved in that type of thing. So it's like, wow, these guys are amazing. Lying to your face, telling the other persons are doing what they're actually doing. If this is all true, it's absolutely amazing that's going on. So One American News Network, please look for it. If you don't have it on your cable, it's not on universally on cable. You can find it on Cloud TV, cloudtv.net, I think it is. And you can subscribe. I subscribe to Cloud TV, and I get all these various news feeds. Plus, you can go back and watch up to 2 weeks in the rear. So if you miss a show, you can do it. I think it's like $5 a month or something. But I'm telling you, for a news station, this is what it should be like. One American News, and I sent tweets to Hannity. These people, if Fox goes down, they ought to go to this place because they got some really good reporting. So I passed over something. Let me get back to it. Yeah, Hillary was talking about Nixon being impeached. He wasn't actually impeached. But Bill Clinton was impeached by the House, which is kind of funny. Her husband was, but Nixon wasn't, yet she said Trump will. Now, a lot of people are being arrested in child porn rings, and she mentioned that too in her speech. Isn't it somehow she's mentioning, well, they're coming up with conspiracy theories about these child pornography stuff, and talking about impeaching Trump when her old man got impeached, and Nixon. And well, here we go. We have Jacob Schwartz. Schwartz was a Democratic assistant who was arrested for child porn and worked for Robbie Mook. Okay, we're going to sneeze now. Excuse me. All this stuff is unraveling in days. I mean, I it's almost like I can't stop watching Twitter feed for the various people that I follow to get information. But this is, excuse me, this is one of the biggest stories that I cannot believe how ridiculous it is, and I got the 2 links up here. We'll put them up again in the bottom of this when I'm done. But you have the actual story by CNN. Comey acted on Russian intelligence he knew was fake. So they got this long, involved narrative that is amazing in its twists and turns, saying that Comey knew it was fake, so then he closed the investigation so that it looked like he believed the Russian fake, but he didn't. I mean, it's like, what? You talk about conspiracy theory? And you talk about twists and turns, holy cow, this stuff is by far. I mean, give me a Planet X story. It makes more sense than some of this stuff. And right above it, you have a video where Lionel Media does an analysis of this. Now, he's a little sarcastic. He's pretty clever. It's kind of funny to watch. So I put those 2 together. If you'd like to read the article and then have Lionel talk about it, he went into great detail. Let's see if I can pull up the article here. And for those who are watching this saying, what happened? I thought I was live. Well, as you can see, I can't even pull up a web page. This thing is absolutely amazing on the twists and turns that he goes through on this. So we'll let that go. And you guys see, look at all this commercial stuff I got to deal with. I want to bring it to your attention on this. Here's a farmer who plowed his own field and faces $2.5 million in fines because he didn't have permits. It's ridiculous. Now, here's another thing I want to go on, this Planned Parenthood. Now, I had to hunt down the video because the original Twitter story, they were forced to take down the video. And then I went to the websites, stream.org, where it was, and they mentioned the video was taken off YouTube. I went to another National Review, same deal. They're talking about how a court order took the video offline, where these people are talking in the most calm, joking sense about pulling a leg off or two. See the quote there. But they do have the video on Vimeo. At least it was. Let me check to see if it's still there. See, I should have tried and downloaded. The video doesn't exist. Of course, then if I would have played it, then I would be involved in contempt of court charges and whatnot. But it was pretty gross. And they're taking it down because of the violation, presumably, to the privacy of these people who would have expected privacy when they talked. You know, in California, they got a law, you can't record people in there. And these people are talking about how they botched abortions where they had to kill the children, they cut their finger, they cut themselves on broken bone and parts, and It's utterly disgusting, and it needs to be talked about because that is what Planned Parenthood is about. That's why it needs to be defunded. Now, it doesn't mean it still will stop, but your tax dollars, besides going for war, which I know I'm not giving Trump a pass on that. I'm just hoping something comes out of it. I don't know, but your tax dollars are going to kill children and have fun with them. Yeah, I'm getting all messages like, I got to tell you, I get to finally watch the show live, and now you have no internet connection. Well, I'm sorry about that. But I'll put these links up here, and I will see if we can find somewhere where that video report is on. It is very good. Here's a picture of, you won't see where this little girl wanted to meet Trump very, very badly, and they did the pictures, with him, all this stuff. Nice little piece here. Pray for Nice, pray for Germany, pray for Wurzburg, pray for Munich. All these are from Islamic terrorist attacks, and yet you can't use the terms and all that, which is absolutely ridiculous. And if you do say this stuff, Islamophobe, it is so obvious what's going on. They are weaponizing refugees in Islam in particular, the radical element of Islam, bring them in this country to cause disorder, to get people cowed down and scared. They're using the bulk of the people to tax the financial infrastructure to bring about destruction. And this is because they can't go in with their own armies and attack their own people. They're going to bring it down. And what the president is trying to do is stop it from here. Now we have the judicial overreach coming in here. This could come to an amazing head here. And I got to say, it's not very scientific, but I do have pretty good, I guess, an internal kind of like something's coming and something's going to be good. I shouldn't say it's going to be good. It's going to expose all this crap, and I don't know exactly how it's going to come about, but I'm looking at the YouTube feeds, the Facebook feeds, the Twitter, and all this, just waiting to get this information to come in. And I recommend following people like Jack Prosobic and Mike Cernovich. They've been getting a lot of good informations and leaks and so forth. Not a leak, but a scoop. Good old-fashioned scoop. Trey, no, I'm not going to think of his last name. Here, right here. One American News, and I'm not going to have his name right there, of course. President Trump set to fire multiple staff members for leaking. This came out from Trey on One American News, and it turned out to be verified. So there's a scoop right there. So I will put all these links on here so you can peruse through the ones you would like. And I will try and put a thread on my website. By the way, my website is feedtotofireradio.com. Extremely slow. The broadcast servers are slow. So apparently I finally got noticed by somebody, and they're doing stuff, so I got to look into it. But especially for someone like me, literally an independent guy, it's if they really wanted to nail you, it's very easy to do on internet broadcast. So very easy to do. But the uploads can still be done, and as long as I don't have anything in here that YouTube will be upset about, which who knows. I'm not showing how many people are viewing these shows purposely, so no one really knows that they're big. But as far as non-YouTube, of course, the YouTube people can see what the stuff is. So we will see about that. I do have a commentary from Less Visible. Now, when I do these Less Visible commentaries, I don't actually listen to them until I play it now with you. So I don't know what he's going to say. Sometimes profound, sometimes it's not. Good old Les. So I guess we'll go to that. And if I can come up with something while this is playing, I'll come back and bring it up in closing remarks. So let's go with Mr. Less Visible here. I got to kickstart the video.
The audio version of it with some video thrown in.
Here we go.
Greetings, my friends, and welcome to Dog Poet, transmitting the audio version of it with some video thrown in, and the satellite consul general's outpost on Earth of the transmission centers of the Sirius Cluster and the Arcturian Brotherhood, both of whom expend their love and hopes, extend, I suppose, to you during your sojourn here on this rather troubled planet. As you can see, we are now located in a new environment. It's early yet, so it's only 190 to 100 degrees, but this week it's supposed to be 20% cooler, but that was last week before, so now it's not that time anymore. I love it here. No humidity, and hardly a bug to speak of in the ceiling, the phone, perhaps the refrigerator. Those kind of bugs. It's lovely here. The desert is something else. The big cities are bustling and booming, but I'm miles from that, thank God. Is materialism run wild in these parts too? But Jesus is big also. Material Jesus, that is, or Jesus-less Christ. Jesus being something they can personalize. I'm amazed at how well off so many people are materially. Then I think of how well off I am. I'm one of the luckiest men on earth. And my heart swells with gratitude every day, and I would not trade what I have for everything that the world has to offer. My friends, this is true. I want to say so many things to whomever may see this segment, but it's so difficult to transmit the degree of intensity that comes when one has a certain muster to reach the ineffable, of which I am in possession of that. Perhaps the best thing to simply say is strive, strive, with all the force and zeal that you can until the ineffable possesses, obsesses, and however the case may be with you. Above all, love is the ineffable. Cry out to the ineffable. Think of whom or what it is that you love more than anything else, and transpose the image and idea of the ineffable upon that, and it will make it easier if you do to love the ineffable. If you do not give up, the ineffable will come, and then, my friends, unspeakable joy, bliss beyond telling, wonder upon wonder, an all-consuming thing. Be prepared for it to cost you everything, though I can tell you, you will receive much, much more than those things that you have misidentified as being important, and which have now been rendered unimportant and no longer accessible to you on a level of importance. I have been doing this broadcast earlier when I forgot that I had my traditional Bailey's and very fine coffee that I usually have on a Sunday morning, radio show or not. And so I had to stop everything I was doing and go back out there and do that, and I should probably talk about some updated things that have happened. I've been in terrible pain lately, my friends, physical pain. I don't know what it is. I wake up in the morning, my chest hurts so bad. But then I get up, and it doesn't hurt anymore, you know? So I don't know really what that means. If it meant I'm going to be checking out soon, oh, Lord God, please let that be the case. But I tend to doubt that. Someone sent me a gift in the mail. What a wonderful thing. I don't receive many gifts, my friends, I must tell you. I don't know if what I do isn't really worth gifts and such, but I don't get many of them. But I get plenty of gifts from the ineffable, so who's complaining? Somebody sent me a Seagull Coastline, brand new, beautiful guitar. great guitar. I don't play it worth a shit, but anyway, that was a very nice thing, and thank you, my dear friend, for caring for me enough to send me that. That broke my heart. I opened it up, I didn't know what it was, and I went, and someone said, thank you for all that you do. And I know that you need a good guitar because you're, well, my Martin had kind of, my Martin still works pretty good, but, the pickup's busted up, and I haven't been able to afford to get it fixed. And I don't know, for some reason I got another guitar with a pickup in it, and this is wonderful. So maybe times are changing for me, and maybe better things are to come. Anyway, I had a long talk with the doctor, lady, or some representative thereof on the phone today, who, and I'm not stupid, was feeling around to see if I'm suicidal or have thoughts of killing others. And I said, well, it depends on who you're talking about, because there are a number of people who deserve to be, I said, you realize I'm joking, right? As far as my involvement in it, I said, but you realize there are some people that really the world would be better off without them. So, yeah, that thought crossed my mind, but not that I would be doing it. Write that down, write that down. These people, man. And she couldn't help herself. She had to ask me 2 or 3 more times. Her name was Nancy. She was a very nice lady, and we got into a pretty good dialogue, her and I guess. And, no, I don't think of killing myself. Sometimes I wish I were dead. But then, I have my reasons. But I don't mean that in a really negative way. It's just being here ain't all that much fun. But look around me, and I have this wonderful place to live now, courtesy of another friend. And it's as much my house as it is theirs, they tell me. That this is my house for as long as I want a house to live in. And whatever guests I want to have come visit. And this here is what is called a casita. It is a private apartment that is part of a larger house that's off by itself. And this person gave me this to, and there's my little hammock. I can't, things are backwards here, okay, but it's over there somewhere. And it's a lovely place to lay and to reflect upon existence. And we deceive ourselves and diminish the true returns by projecting an interpretation of the ineffable, by which we limit the divine and thereby wind up with something that is not divine. Embrace the truth that you will never know the divine, but you can still enjoy the ineffable. You don't have to know who the ineffable is to enjoy and to love the ineffable. You do not. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say a lot of the time about a whole lot of things. I don't think I'm very smart, and that's probably pretty obvious. I'm smart in some ways, but I'm stupid in others. Do you know what I mean? Because if I was really smart, I would use the rather high intelligence level I've got, at least I'm told I do, to allow myself to prosper a little more in a material sense than I do, And so then I wouldn't have these kind of problems with, I went to Germany, I got married, and because of that, I got German health insurance. And so when I went to see the person at the German health, or at the embassy, wherever, he said, well, you won't be needing Medicare because you have this and da-da-da. This is better Medicare, you'll never need it. So I'm going to check you off for no Medicare. And I went, well, I don't know. And she went, no, it's best. Now I come here, I'm not married anymore, and I can't have Medicare because I denied it. But I didn't deny it. So now I got to go through all these threads trying to explain this. I don't know what's going on. It's getting so tiresome. And I can't pay for, these medications, and mostly pain medications. I busted my hip up pretty badly, and I broke my leg sometime before that. Somebody smacked the living crap out of my jaw. And so and I'm aging. And so all of these things together collectively add up to not feeling at my best. Of course, I'm a joyful person, and my heart is uplifted all the time to the gratitude of the Lord giving me the opportunity to be here. That's questionable. but to allow me to be here as I am, to be the person that I am, when I could be so many other people. I could be some type of individual, or somebody just caught up in the material realm of things, or I want this, I want that, and I don't particularly want anything but the ineffable. And in truth, that is all that any of us want or ever will want. Only we have convinced ourselves otherwise that we want something else. We have to think of the ineffable as a mirror in which you can see your true self. An exchange of love will take place because the ineffable is love. You're looking into the mirror of love, and love is looking back at you. And the more that you do that, the more that love will increase within you, within the capacity to express it, if you see what I mean. So your capacity for love becomes greater and greater and greater. And who do you see the ineffable in? You see it in each other. So now I find myself wherever I go, whoever I meet, I think I'm talking to the ineffable. And I want to show the ineffable my love. So I want to inquire about how this particular version of the ineffable's life is going, and try to encourage them and let them have a memorable moment in their life, because, every day they run yada, 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 Nobody's coming in and patting them on the back and saying, thank you for being here and thank you for helping me and how you doing, and God rest your soul, and, may you be at peace. My friends, be born anew. Whatever your pain may be, whatever your difficulty in this life may be born anew. Let the ineffable live in you, because whatever pain that you have, the ineffable has given you for the purpose of your growth. And as you continue to grow, the pain will dissolve. And I will tell you this about love. Love consumes everything. Love consumes despair and darkness and hatred and all of the negative things that there are. But love also consumes pain. Love consumes everything that stands between us and the ineffable. And that indeed is what the ineffable does. The ineffable seeks to wipe out the personal and to allow the impersonal to manifest and move through us. Yeah. And so then, because we are impersonal, we reach the personal in everyone else. And they sense it, they feel it. They may not be aware of it right there at the moment, as I wasn't when I met the man on the beach. But later on, I went, whoa, whoa. And because of experiences I've had in this life over recent years, I realize the same thing happens to other people when I'm in tune with them and actually exchanging with them something beautiful, something valid, something wonderful, which is what I really do try to do, my friends, honestly. It's all that matters to me anymore. And I don't mind if I'm suffering a little bit here and there. It happens. And I mean, why should I be singled out, overly blessed more than another, I must take my ration of the world's ills, I suppose. But it has been a little trialing, and there is a part of us that gets troubled that goes, oh, this might be kind of serious because this keeps, manifesting in this way or that way or another. And you go, But I assure you, my friends, in my heart right now, I just feel love. I feel good. And a little aches and difficulties, so that kind of thing is going to, go away. Go bother somebody else. Don't bother me. Because God's healing my problems. God's taking care of my problems. You know why? Because I have laid all my problems at the feet of the ineffable. I have laid all my problems in the hands of the ineffable. And the ineffable is thereby going to resolve my difficulties in the most perfect way that the ineffable always does everything in its most perfect way. And you have that to rely on, my friends. Whether you believe it or not, or whether your faith is not strong enough at this moment, trust me on this. Should you believe this, and should you live according to it, and should you strive after this and put everything that you have into it, I assure you the returns will be incredible. And much like putting your money into a bank, although not these days and not in these banks, as once may have been the case. Oh my God. Oh, it's time. I gotta go. I forgot. It's already way late. Oh man, I'm sorry I got carried away. Please, my friends, take these precious days that are given to you and seek the ineffable with all your heart and mind. This is one venture you will never regret. Okay, come to the end of another, whatever this is, and I'll see you next week if there is another week or whatever. And that said, greetings, my Lord friend, Ganesh. Much love, Lady Nature. Michum Ambu Guru Bawa. La ilaha illallahu. Om Amitabha. Hail Lord Jesus Christ. Hare Krishna. If I left anyone out, I'm sorry. But you know I mean. Carry on, Baha'u'llah. Aloha and...
Long and tall and slender, and has got a walking stick. You'll be changed forever if you get hit by it. He's coming for the Zionists and all their bankers too. And if you don't behave yourself, he's coming after you. There's no way to stop him. He can't be bribed or bought. And he's sweeter than the air in spring and meaner than you thought.
All right, there you go. Less visible. I did come up with a couple of things. Where's the magic button here? Webpage. All right. I did come up with a couple of things while Les was talking. 2 stories. Report. Trump tells allies he plans to remove U.S. from Paris Climate Agreement. Fantastic. This is why we elected the man, or I did anyway, to get out of all that global garbage. Those lies, and all it is manipulation. And more people are coming out now from the science community now that they can come out and not get beat, as much. So that's good. And also, report, Raging Bull Trump shifts back into 2016 campaign mode. And I was just reading this, so there's more to the story where apparently he's going to come back and get like he was before. He tried to play ball with these people, and he almost killed them. I mean, probably literally, but politically. And so now we'll see what happens with that. There you go. I'll put these links up, and sorry this is a little bit chaotic because, it's because of last minute shifting here from the live to a recorded deal. I mean, I did it like I would have done it live, except a lot not smooth. I kept checking other stuff. So here we go. But this is what's going to happen in these days. The internet is very fragile as well as robust when it comes to individuals on it. Also want to mention about Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies took a hit this last week. But long term is the deal. When the main monies crash, these cryptos are going to come in handy. So always think long term. Don't worry about it. And keep it going from there. All right, thanks for watching. You're going to like this and subscribe and all this. And I got some pre-recorded stuff going to be coming up with guests planned. And as Kojak would say, like that there. And we will see you next week. I guess I'll say, oh. That's what. All right, we'll see.